Welcome back to another episode of DRP Between The Sets. I am one of your hosts, Kyle. I am sitting across the table from our co-host, Donald.
Hello, family.
And again, another special treat. We have our guest, Darci, on the podcast today.
Yeah.
For those of you who are new here, before we get ahead of ourselves, this is a podcast aimed at educating, motivating, and inspiring the next generation of young athletes, maybe some middle-aged individuals who are looking to better themselves and their fitness, maybe some more older, or as I like to say, experienced individuals who are looking to just continue upon learning because it's never too late. Today we are talking about, as always, another very pressing and often debated topic, depending on what kind of background you come from. But that is the topic of overtraining and warming up.
Yes.
So we have in front of us here the definition of overtraining, just to lay the foundation of where we want to go here. According to the internet, overtraining occurs when a person exceeds their body's ability to recover from strenuous exercise. So when the two of you think about overtraining, what comes to mind?
When I think about overtraining, I think about people having a no end zone. There is we're going to do this, we're going to do it now, we're going to do it tomorrow, we're going to do it today, we're going to do it all the time. And putting their body in a state of never stopping to recover, never getting the moment to do what our muscles need to do. They need to work, they need to rest, they need to recover, they need to grow. And I think that when people get into an overtraining state, they're not giving themselves the full opportunity to be the best of their ability.
Yeah, and I can piggyback off the same thing. The rest in particular is probably the most important part when it comes to overtraining. Nobody just wants to rest. They think, I just have to, go in and work out as hard as I can every single day, sometimes 2 days, and 2 times in one day. And you just put so much pain and so much, you beat your body up so much that you just never give yourself a chance to recover and relax. And like Darci said, give you a chance to grow and let your muscles actually heal and build on. So I think the overtraining is probably one of the biggest things, whether you're an athlete or just someone who's just going into the weight room and trying to work on your strength gains.
Absolutely. And I think we mentioned this on the rest and recovery episode, but it's an old school style train of thought where people think, you have to go into the gym 7 days a week, lift as much as you can every single time, don't come out of the gym until you can't walk on leg day kind of mindset. And that is not really how you get stronger. Where the muscles grow and get stronger is not in the gym. It's when you are letting those muscles rest and repair themselves through sleep, through food, fuel, all that good stuff. So when I think of overtraining, I think of a difficulty in finding that balance, right? Because if you go in the gym, once, twice a week, do a 15-minute workout each time, are you going to get bigger, faster, stronger? Probably not, unless you're doing something crazy for that 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. But the same thing applies for if you go in the gym 7 days a week and, like I just said, and just beat your body down. That is what is going to lead to overtraining, and that's not going to lead to progress. That's going to lead to injury, if anything. Yeah. There's an old saying that I've heard a running coach named Joe Howdyshell. Joe Howdyshell, if you are out there, I hope you are listening. I hope you repost this.
Repost our video,
Great running coach out of Breckenridge, Colorado, who once told me, at the end of the day, the man who can do 100 push-ups every single day is going to be bigger, faster, stronger than the man who can do 150 push-ups once and then take 3 days to have to recover their chest. Mm-hmm. So it's not about consistency, or it is absolutely about consistency to me, but it's not about how much you do in a certain day. It's about how much you get in a certain week, right? So that's where a little bit of a math and the equation comes into play, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't think you have to, for a lot of people, you don't have to feel sore every single workout. And I think that's, a lot of people miss that point too. They want to feel pain. They want to feel, I can barely lift lift my arms, my butt or my legs are killing me. Like I know I got a great workout in, or the typical, we didn't hit our core hard enough because it doesn't hurt when I laugh or it doesn't hurt
Yeah.
when I have a seat. So pain does not equate to, oh, my body is working. So that leads a little bit too much into the overtraining part. And that's the part where with our clients, I try to be really careful and I try to talk to them and have conversations like, hey, look, understand the consistency is kind of what you were saying of us doing this, week in and week out is what's going to help us. That's when we're going to see our changes. Not so much of, I want you to feel this. Were you hurting? Are you in pain? Okay, perfect. That means we got a great workout in.
Yeah.
So if you're not looking for signs of pain, what are signs for me to know, or signs that we would tell our clients? Like what would you say signs would be of overtraining if they're not directly, Like I don't want someone to say like you're not going to be sore, like this wasn't an effective workout. Like
I think the nicks and bruises, when it becomes a more repeated, incident that's happening, I think that's something where you may want to take a step back and just kind of understand what's going on with your body. I just had this conversation with a young athlete, yesterday, and he was saying he had some tightness in a particular area, which was his calf. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do some stretches. Let's do, some range of motion exercises to see if that helps. Afterwards, he felt pretty good. And he was like, okay, that actually helped a little bit. And I'm like, okay, well, let me teach you something. When you feel these types of, tightness or issues that you're having in certain particular muscle groups, let's try to work on some range of motion, some stretching exercises, see if that helps. If that doesn't help, then that should be your warning sign to know, okay, something may be off a little bit. He's doing a lot of training. He's playing, he was playing football. He was playing, running track. He was playing basketball. So he's doing a lot within a week, even within a day. He's doing, 2 different things within a day. So that's one of the things where you want to say, okay, something's going on with my body. I may need to take a step back and really understand, what is it? What am I doing from a day-to-day basis? Am I giving myself enough rest? If not, okay, let's figure out what I need to do to kind of help with that.
Yeah.
I think another thing we should find important is finding those notes before they happen.
Yes.
Especially with the athletes. So you guys train a lot more younger athletes than I do. I dabble with them, but just really figuring out with clients in general is how can we catch them before they get to that overtraining? Because we know when we get to that overtraining point, they're going to stand still. Like we're going to have to dial back a lot of things. And if that's in someone's peak of season or peak of, the everyday client, peak of their vacation that they're going on, or, I have some clients that are prepping for weddings and, we hit an overtraining plateau right the week before, and I'm like, I'm sorry, the best thing to do is your body needs rest.
It needs rest, yeah.
We have to kind of dabble at the aspect of being, we need to push hard, but we need to take care of our bodies.
Absolutely. And I think where it gets interesting to me, well, first, to answer your question about some signs, to me, it also comes down to, of course, listen to your body. But where overtraining for myself, where I'll start to notice I'm doing a little too much, is I'll get aches and pains in my lower back, my knees, my joints, things that aren't necessarily muscles that'll tighten up and start to feel sore, and achy, when you get out of the bed in the morning.
Your body really shouldn't hurt when you're working out.
Exactly.
It generally should not hurt.
There's a difference between having tight biceps because you had a great bicep day the day before, or having tender elbows because you hit biceps 15 times that week.
Yeah, now you have to strain. Now something hurts.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick something, a pencil or something off a hat, and you're like, wow, that really hurts. It's yes, something went wrong. You may want to take a step back. If you've been doing biceps 4 times this week alone, we may want to take a step back and rest a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And this kind of bleeds into a different conversation. There are certain muscle groups where you can hit 4 or 5 times a week, arms, for example. You can probably hit them at that consistency, but you should only be doing 1 set or 2 sets per each time. But we'll save that. Maybe we'll have another episode that's geared towards how many times per week you should hit each body part to optimize growth and avoid overtraining. But the other interesting side of it is there are going to be times where you almost have to overtrain. What comes to mind is for you, when you were getting into conditioning and fall for football, especially at the Division I level, when you're literally having to take ice baths every single day just to be able to go out and perform the next day. How did you navigate that? Did you feel you were overtraining, or did you feel that training load was
Sustainable.
optimal or yeah, sustainable is really like the word that you want to be using there
Yeah.
and thinking about.
When you get to which majority, everyone knows, college training camps, when it comes around in August, it's 3, maybe 4 weeks of just hell. Like
Yeah.
you're starting from 6 a.m. and you're not finishing until 10 p.m. And it's every hour you have something to do. You may have 3 hours out of the day for a break, but it may be, 1 hour in the morning, one, early afternoon, and another one later in the afternoon. And that's usually a time where you want to run and, get the nutrition and your sleep. So I think those two factors are the most important part when it comes to that. What's scary now is the multiple sports that athletes play. And we've all trained some of these younger kids, and it's so hard trying to even just schedule a workout for them for the week or for the month, just because they're like, I'm traveling here, I'm coming back here. When I get back, I'm playing this sport.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, how did you do in this sport? It's like, oh, no, I was actually in my other sport. And you're just like, wow, it's a lot that happens for them. So the sleep and the recovery, as far in nutrition, is going to be huge. Like those, the two factors that you want to kind of lean on as much as possible, because otherwise, the overtraining will happen if you're not careful.
And I guess a question with that is like, how do we know we're not overtraining these athletes, and who decides that? Is it coach? Is it mom? Is it dad? Is it the school coach? Is it their, like where do we draw the line? Like, exactly what you said. We have athletes that come in here and they're playing soccer, they're playing tennis, they're golfing. Then they're, they have social lives, they're kids, and where do we know, like as an athlete, college athlete as well, or should you be training small increments year round, or should we be training just for those 4 weeks, like balls to the wall? There's got to be some kind of dividing line to not burn out, not to overtrain, to manage this. And it's getting to be quite extreme.
And I think with us, especially with the little kids, having a conversation with the parents, trying to figure out what's their schedule, for the week and for the month. And that's typically what I do when I have someone and we're working 2 or 3 times a week. I need to know what you did. If I'm seeing you Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I need to know what you did Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because that's important to how I'm going to set your program for your workouts. And I can have a program set, and the kid can walk in, and I can just look at his demeanor and say, okay, this kid is beat up physically, mentally, and we've all seen it with our clients. You just know mentally they're out of it. They're going to push through as much as they can because they want to do good. They want to be great, which we love. But we also have to be aware of, okay, you're a little bit sloppy on your warm-ups, or you're sloppy on our normal, drills that we do just to kind of get your body set. I see it may be a little bit more of a false step, or you may be just a little bit more sluggish. Then we start to do, which is like, Kyle, I love what you do. You always ask the kids or just the general population, what did you have for breakfast? What did you have for lunch? What did you do today? How are you feeling? Like, understanding what's going on with them mentally is so important, just because that we can also take a step back from those workouts and say, all right, I had some plan for you today, but I can see, you don't even have to have that conversation with them. You don't have to tell them, but they're there to trust you. So you can say, okay, let me actually peel back a little bit with their workout. We're probably going to do some power and explosion exercises, but let's do a little bit more range of motion, some stabilization, really just getting them to reset their mind and have a conversation with them and talk to them. That's it. It's a lot of overtraining is a mental game too as well.
Yeah, it really, like, to your kind of question, it just takes communication to me across
I think it takes
all parties.
trust, like even with like the parents and stuff. Like some workouts are going to be recovery. Like hey, did you know your kid did this, this, and this, and didn't have any lunch today? Like and I'm no fault at the parents. Like kids are busy, they're crazy, they're fun, but just knowing and like taking note, like you said, like what'd you eat today? It's like, oh well, I didn't like my lunch, so I had nothing. And you're like, okay, that plays effect to us.
Yeah, and it's funny the amount of times, especially when I first started working here, the amount of times where I'd have some crazy leg day planned for a young athlete, and they'll come in and the dad will be like, "Yep, we're leaving tomorrow to go to Orlando for a lacrosse tournament. Please don't touch his legs because if you do anything on that regard, he's not going to perform well, and the trip to Orlando is not going to be worth it." Like so, as trainers, we have to pivot sometimes because of often outside of the gym circumstances, right? And again, it just takes like that open communication. I think there's a lot of parents out there that, think that for them to get the most bang for their buck out of a trainer, that we have to be like
Their kid's going to be crawling out of here.
murdering their kids.
Yeah, their kid has to crawl out of this gym.
And, to those parents, I say, like, when we're doing that, like if your son had, a football game or a lacrosse tournament like that weekend and you come in here on a Monday, if we continue to like push him, like odds are we're putting more risk than we are reward into what you're getting out of that session. Like sometimes the best thing for us as trainers to do, and for, your children, or even for you, if you're just a direct client of ours, is just to, not have like necessarily an easy day, but work on some mobility, work on some like plyometrics, maybe, like stretching. 'Cause at the end of the day, like it all comes together,
It's full circle.
Yeah. So maybe some active recovery, like,
No,
so.
it's huge for the kids, and just for anybody who's just working out in general. They just listen to your body, understand what's going on. And even if you're young and you're not sure, watch those nicks and those bruises. That common ankle injury or the common toe or foot injury, the heel injuries, especially for those young kids that's growing at a rapid rate. Listen to what what's going on with your body. Those pains, you just let, the professional, whether it's your coach, your parents, or us as trainers, let us know, just so we can be aware. And that can be something that if a kid has, some kind of, injury in the past, I always ask them, how are you feeling? What's going on? Hey, what's going on with that injury you had, last week? Just to see where they are mentally, and if they're not trying to just push through a pain or an injury. It's like, no, let's figure out how we can dial it out and reset and make sure we're going the right way.
And it's not a trick question too, because I'll get so many of these young kids, especially
they
like
get scared.
young boys who are trying to become young men. I'll ask them that question. They'll look at me and they'll be like, oh no, I'm fine. I'm fine. No. Like nothing hurts. Like I can push through it. Like we'll do like 20 air squats into squat jumps and I can see the pain on their face. And I'll ask them like, how do your legs feel? Oh, they feel great. It's like, well, that's awesome.
No one feels great after 20 back-to-back air squats and 20 jump squats.
I'm glad to hear you're mentally strong, like, because of course the last thing that I would want is for you to be like, oh, it hurts. Like I don't like it when we're hitting legs. But the other side of that is like, no, I need you to be open and honest with me on how you were feeling. And if you say it hurts, that doesn't mean we're gonna stop or like move on to another exercise sometimes. But like, we just have to be able to know to program that. Yeah. So our clients out there, be open and communicative with us, please.
Absolutely. Please. We're not here to hurt you. We're here to figure out what works best for you. What works best for you.
So when it comes to overtraining, we've hit a couple of, big hitters on staying consistent, listening to your body. In my head, something that I've applied to my life is a solid warm-up. And Darci is across from me smiling, laughing at this right now.
I hate warm-ups. I just hate warm-ups.
Darci.
I hate warm-ups with my clients. I hate warm-ups.
I am appalled.
I hate warm-ups for myself.
Yep. So let's spend some time talking about that. Because
all right. Do you want me to start with my clients or myself?
Let's start with yourself, just so your clients know exactly where you're coming from.
Okay. Personally, I feel like if I did this stuff all the time, I would not need to waste that little bit of time warming up. If I was doing my stretches at night, if I was, starting my travel to the gym as a nice brisk walk, I would not need to waste that time in the gym.
Do you stretch at night?
Do I stretch at night? Like every other night, I would say.
Interesting.
I have a young kid at home. So, laying on the floor when she's running around playing her toys is actually a good time to get some stretches knocked out. But for my clients, you're spending good money. You're in here to work. Your warm-up is very, very, very important. But it's the same. It's repetitive. Whether what muscle group it is, we probably have a dialed-in warm-up that you can do for free. Like, before you get here, you can do it, before you come in, you can do it while you're here a couple minutes early, and then we can get the most efficient time out of your workout. But that's my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree with the last part that you said, especially and it sucks because I don't want to ask my clients, hey, you're coming in for a 45-minute session, coming to take 45 minutes out of your day to better yourself. Why don't you arrive 30 minutes early?
Yeah,
and
no,
turn that 45-minute session into an hour and 15. But like,
But it's the most. It's so important.
It really is.
It is.
Because like, you know, I've had clients that come in, we'll start to do squats, and then they'll be like, my back hurts. I'm not going to make you continue to do squats if your back hurts, so I'm going to take some time to do some
the right
light
things.
mobility work with you, and then we'll go back to the squats, and at the end of the day, then you're not getting as much bang for your buck. You're still learning something, like learning how to loosen up your back, learning how to, you know, identify, hey.
But I
like,
also
have
think
a
those
lower back
exercises, if
posture.
they were doing them daily, they would eliminate
Right.
a lot of their back pain regardless.
So that's something that I've implemented into my life, is doing those exercises daily. For me, the most convenient time to do it is at the gym. So I carve out, you know, an extra 30 minutes whenever I go work out to, you know, make sure that I'm warming up each and every single part of my body, to make sure I'm ready to go, ready for an intense workout. And I've noticed a lot of strength and mobility benefits with it.
Yeah, Darci.
Yeah, Darci. Darci, how much do you even squat, dude?
Are you maxing, Darci? That's probably why.
No,
You're
it's
not
because I don't warm
maxing.
up.
You're not lunging
That's
and
the only
maxing.
way. The only reason why you do not squat 315 is because you don't warm up.
Come on.
That's
Jeez. No,
All jokes aside,
I'm complete opposite of Darci,
which is normal.
which is normal. That's a normal day. But if majority of my clients all have a similar warm up, like the first 10 minutes, or depending on who we're working with, and some of my clients, or majority of my clients, will show up probably 10 to 15 minutes beforehand.
Are you saying you have better
And-
clients than me?
I don't think so.
whoa.
I don't think so.
Whoa.
More disciplined. More disciplined.
More discipline.
Keep
They'll show, and it's just a repetitive thing that we do every single session. And they'll come up 10 or 15 minutes before, and I'll have them do some rotation, some activation, some range of motion. The only difference will be if someone has something that a little bit more shoulder problems or more upper body issues, to where they may have a little bit more anterior, position where the chest kind of caves in. So it's like, okay, no, you need to do a little bit more activation for the back. If they're working out with somebody else, they may have a different scenario or a different situation, which I typically write out, or I'll text them beforehand. So, and even for some of my athletes, they know typically we're going to do some landing, some stabilization mechanics first, and then we're going to get into our warm-up or prep for what we're doing for the actual day. Now, that's just from where I came from. That's my background. That's my experience. So that's what helps for me to kind of get them prepped and them understanding what kind of workout they're going to be going through.
But do you personally warm up?
I personally do too as well. Majority of my workout is actually a warm up, which is so fun. And that's only been over the past maybe 4 or 5 years, just because I'm not as young as I was before, when I can just run on the field, go. I still do movements that's more consistent with playing.
Yeah.
Playing the sport of football, or being a little bit more active, just because I'm outside, I'm moving with the kids. So I may need to do a little bit more of some change of direction drills, or some acceleration and deceleration drills. So I'm in here actually also trying to perform those movements. But
That's interesting, actually. That's smart.
yeah. I'm not as powerful as I once was. I'm not as explosive as I once was. I'm not as quick and as fast as I once was. So I need to make sure, like, hey, that 1 foot jump you used to do, you better make sure everything is warmed up before you actually try to plant and do anything. So
worst thing you want is to roll an ankle in front of a bunch of
I was just going to say, so
running
do you
backs.
think that you should warm up before you train a session? Because if we're doing those exercises, should I be warming up before I come to work every day?
it depends. Now, if and I'll get a couple of people that's like, oh man, how did you do that? And I'm like, well, I only have to do one set,
Exercise,
or one actual rep. So I can do 1 rep of whatever it is. Just don't ask me to do any more. But I think if we're doing something like if it's an exercise that I know, or a drill that I know, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go through it at 50%, but I want you to go through it at 100%.
Yeah.
Like that's where it kind of goes hand in hand. So, but I do take my leg days are. I'm probably in here like an hour and a half.
I frequently do see you like throughout the day doing your foam rolling and your accessory work. So I was, it's not a bad idea
And
before you come into your session.
That's also like my sciatica and piriformis, like lower back. Like I get some tightness. I've put a lot of work to some leg days, years with football. So I have a little bit of nicks and bruises that's going to be with me for a long time if I don't stretch and activate certain muscle groups. So I'm very particular on staying safe with those.
So how long and how detailed do you really think a warm-up should be? About
10 to 15 minutes, typically. Depending age group, what we're doing. If we're doing some high explosive, I got an athlete, we're doing some high explosive or some top end speed, which is really going to be on a mechanics base, then I want to make sure they're really warmed up because I'm asking them to put a lot of force into the ground, or I'm asking them from a neurological standpoint I'm really going to be attacking, and we're really going to be powerful, and we're going to be working a lot of plyometrics, so I need your muscle groups to be ready and firing. I want everything to be firing.
Yeah.
But if we're doing a typical workout, if you want to say bodybuilding style, we're hitting a leg day, we're hitting quads, hamstring, glutes, whatever it is, then 10 minutes should be just fine for them. If they come in and hop on the treadmill, just kind of warm up the body, we'll go through a little range of motion activation, and then we're going right to it. So it don't have to be too long.
And how would you, my last one, how would you handle a client like me? I hate warm-ups.
I would try to actually get you to start into a conversation while actually making you warm up without you noticing.
That would probably work. You're right.
That's typically my goal. I'll get you going whatever TV show, something that I know you like, because as a trainer, you want to study your clients. You want to understand who they are, what they like, what they don't like, figure out what it is you can have to start a conversation. And then as they're having that conversation, I may even demonstrate the actual move, or I may be the mirror as you're doing a split stance lunge and you're doing a hip flexor stretch. I may be doing it right in front of you just so you just mimic what I'm doing, but you're still talking to me. So it's a way it's tricking you. You're warming up and all of a sudden you're like, hey, why am I sweating? And it's like, I don't know, but let's start the workout. It's like, all right, warm-up's done. We're good.
That's a nice little trick of the trade.
It's
I like that.
That's a 10-year experience, advice I give to you. Like, you got to find a way to help your clients out, make sure they're ready, make sure they're prepared, even if that means you have to demonstrate the movement. But you got to give them that illusion. You're almost like a magician. You got to give them that illusion.
Now, for everyone who listens to this, whenever they come into the gym and you start a conversation with them, they're going to be like, oh, he's making me stretch.
You're trying to make me stretch.
He's warming up. Oh, we're definitely warming up
right now.
You're trying to make me stretch, man.
Never take TV advice from Donald. He's definitely just making you stretch.
He's just making you stretch.
That's why I like watching pickpocketers. I like watching them when they do like the YouTube specials on pickpocket. Is really like cool how they give you an illusion, talking to you, and you don't realize that they just put their hands on you, or they give you something to look at while they're doing something else.
Some sleight of hand.
It's kind of the same concept. I'm talking to you, I'm making you do something. You're not paying attention to the one factor that I want you to, which is fine because I can control that part while I have you, distracted with something else. That's the whole point of it.
So Donald will teach you how to warm up by watching pickpocketers on YouTube.
Yes.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, baby. I watch a lot of magicians, man. I watch a lot of magicians.
If you want to learn how to warm up, if you want to learn how to steal people's phones, if you want to learn how to talk to people, you've come to the right place. Hit that subscribe button.
We'll tell you everything. We watch a lot. We are professional.
We're professional
pickpocketers.
Internet users. we spend a lot of time on the internet over here.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Well, guys, do you have any other final thoughts or questions on the overall broad topic of overtraining or warming up?
Darci, will you start to warm up now that we have this conversation?
It just
I
takes
am
5
probably
minutes.
going to take some YouTube videos, watch pickpocketers, and activate my muscles in a warm up.
See?
But, I think I will.
You have a young kid too, so you're probably already warmed up by the time you get to
By
the
the time
gym,
I get here, I have already
She
done.
probably got you running around
15
already.
overhead presses.
Yeah, overhead presses.
She got you
She's
warmed
hard
up
to
already.
jump rope, jump, jump.
Yeah, she got you warmed up already, so I understand that part of it.
I do think it's important. I really do. Doesn't mean I like it. I just think it's important. I think that everyone should add a little bit of warm up into their workouts. But I think that also said, like, you don't have to like everything you do. Like, because
You're not supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
That's life.
it comes to discipline again. Like, I can hate doing it, but I'm still gonna do it. I just think it's stupid, but I'm still gonna do it because I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to be injured. I want to be doing this stuff forever. I want to play with my kid. I want to feel good when I'm in my clothes. Like, there's things that are important to me that I will take doing something I hate, as silly as warming up.
That's his warm-up.
Long-term dividends.
And that also goes with stretching too. Stretching is one of the easiest, but the
Oh, I
hardest
love
thing.
stretching. No,
See,
I'm just
that's
kidding.
what
That doesn't make any sense.
It's so
I'm just-
funny because I'll talk to my client and I'm like, "Did you stretch?" And they're like, "Absolutely not." And I'm like,
And
"It
I always
only
like,
takes
don't
5
lie to me.
minutes."
Don't lie to me. Like, everyone just lies about stretching. Like,
Yeah.
you just,
It takes 5 minutes.
Like
It takes
Darcy's
5
gonna
minutes.
yell at you if you don't stretch.
yeah,
right?
like, I don't care. Just tell me, did you stretch? Yeah, I did. Well, how many times this week? And then there's like, oh, well,
Like,
yeah. Like,
0.
I lied. I lied. I did
don't
not
lie.
stretch. I did not stretch. So people, please stretch. Please stretch.
And
Please
don't
get your
lie to
warm-up in.
us. We're not gonna. Nothing bad is gonna happen if you tell us you don't stretch.
Yeah.
I think the simple thing with stretching is like people make it so extravagant. You have to go to the gym. You have to get in your car. No, lie on your living room floor. You just told me you watched a show for an hour and a half. Lie on your couch and bring your foot up on your hip, like on your knee. Like
Pigeon
put your
stretch,
arm
something.
while you're sitting there across your body. Like it's simple. Like I just think that people sometimes exaggerate or make it such a big deal when it could literally be like before you get in the shower, like hold your quad up at the like your side while you're warming up the water. Like when you're brushing your teeth, it's simple. And I think we just put too much work into it.
Yes. And do not slip in the shower if you do that quad stretch, please.
Yeah, please.
Disclaimer. Do not.
If you
hold
come to
on.
us and tell us you hurt your quad because you stretched in the shower,
Yes.
I'm gonna be very upset with Darcy.
Have a good base, please. Have a good base.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay focused, stay dialed. Well, that's another episode of DRP Between the Sets.
Yes, we're rolling, baby.
For all of you at home, I hope you learned something from this episode. I hope you got a little bit of a laugh out of it too. We're feeling a little silly and goofy in here in the gym today. That Wednesday morning kind of special feeling.
Yeah.
But for those of you, again, who are new to the podcast, please hit that subscribe button. If you liked what we had to say, maybe if you liked what Darcy had to say about not warming up, if you liked what Donald had to say, hit that like button.
If you don't like warming up, I'm a great trainer.
If you don't like warming up, drop a comment in the comments telling Darcy why you think it's important to warm up, and go ahead and drop us your warm-up routine while you're at it. Hit that notification bell so you don't hit any more episodes of the DRP Between the Sets podcast. And until next time, warm up, stay consistent, stay sustainable.
And stretch.
Stretch, and stay loose, stay motivated. All right.
Tacos for life.
Tacos for life.
Bye.